In the heart of Umuahia, nestled between tall palm trees and the bustling sounds of traders calling out their wares, stood the Divine Healing Medical Center. To the public, it was a place of hope and restoration, but behind its polished walls lurked a darkness that many whispered about but feared to confront. Dr. Emeka was the chief physician at the hospital. A man of striking features and a smooth tongue, he was beloved by his patients for his medical prowess but feared by the nurses for a different reason. For years, he had taken advantage of his position, luring young, unsuspecting nurses into his web of deceit and lust. It was whispered that no nurse had ever walked under him without eventually sharing his bed, none except one. Nurse Linda had recently joined the hospital. A woman of grace and integrity, she was not only dedicated to her work but also to her faith. She was a devout Christian, known for her unwavering commitment to God's principles. She carried herself with a quiet strength, exuding an aura that made it clear she would not be easily swayed. From the moment she set foot in the hospital, Dr. Emeka took notice. Unlike the others who fawned over his charm or bowed under his authority, Nurse Linda remained unshaken by his advances. He called her to his office one evening, under the pretense of discussing her duties. "Nurse Linda," he said, flashing his signature smile. "I've been observing you. You are an exceptional nurse. I appreciate diligence, and I reward those who serve well." "Thank you, doctor," she replied politely, her eyes steady. "I like people who are ambitious. Those who understand that there is more to success than hard work alone," he continued, leaning forward. "I believe we should be close. That way, you will have a smoother career here." Linda's heart pounded. She had heard the rumors about him, but now she was staring at the trap he laid for many before her. "Dr. Emeka," she said, choosing her words carefully, "I am here to serve and help the sick, nothing more. My faith forbids such relationships outside marriage. Please, let us keep things professional." A flicker of surprise crossed Dr. Emeka's face. No nurse had ever refused him so directly. He leaned back, studying her. "Are you sure you want to take that path? It might be difficult for you here without my favor." Nurse Linda met his gaze with unwavering resolve. "I trust in God. If He brought me here, He will sustain me." Dr. Emeka's smile faded. "Very well, Nurse Linda. We shall see." From that day on, the doctor's admiration turned into something far more sinister. He began making her work long, exhausting shifts while favoring the other nurses. He would assign her the most difficult cases and scold her publicly over the smallest mistakes. When she walked into a room, his whispers would stop, and the other nurses would snicker behind their hands. But Linda stood firm. One night, while she was preparing medication for a critical patient, Dr. Emeka deliberately spilled the medicine on the floor. "You are so clumsy, Nurse Linda. Do you think we have drugs to waste? Clean this up and prepare another dose immediately." The other nurses giggled, but Linda did not flinch. She cleaned the mess and calmly continued her work. Dr. Emeka expected her to break, but she remained steadfast. It was a battle of endurance, and Linda was determined to win. Then, the rumors started. One of the nurses, Nurse Emeka, who had been involved with Dr. Emeka, began spreading lies that Linda had been disrespectful to senior staff. The hospital's director, an old friend of Dr. Emeka, called Linda to his office. "I have heard disturbing reports about your attitude, Nurse Linda. Some say you are not a team player. You need to be careful, we do not tolerate insubordination." Linda clenched her fist. She knew where this was coming from, but she remained calm. "Sir, I respect my superiors, and I do my work diligently. If there are specific concerns, I would be happy to address them." The director sighed. "Just watch yourself. You do not want to make enemies here." That night, as she walked home under the moonlit sky, she whispered a prayer. "Lord, I know you are with me. I will not be moved." But Dr. Emeka was not done yet. If threats and humiliation wouldn't break her, he had something far more dangerous in mind. The tension in Divine Healing Medical Center grew heavier with each passing day. Nurse Linda continued to endure Dr. Emeka's wrath, but she remained unshaken. However, Dr. Emeka was not a man to accept defeat easily. He was determined to break her spirit, no matter what it took. One evening, as Nurse Linda was preparing to leave, a security guard stopped her at the hospital entrance. "Dr. Emeka wants to see you in his office," he said, avoiding eye contact. Linda hesitated. It was already late, and she knew nothing good could come from this meeting. But she also knew she could not avoid him forever. With a silent prayer, she turned around and walked toward his office. Inside, Dr. Emeka sat at his desk, a glass of wine in his hand. He gestured for her to sit, but she remained standing. "Nurse Linda," he said smoothly, "you are making this unnecessarily difficult. You are a beautiful woman, intelligent, hardworking. Any other nurse would have been grateful for my attention." "I have told you before, doctor," she said firmly, "I am not interested. Please, let me do my job in peace." Dr. Emeka sighed and leaned forward. "You think you are better than the others? Is that it?" "I think I am a woman who deserves respect," she replied. "And I will not compromise my faith for anyone." A dark shadow crossed his face. "Then you leave me no choice." The next day, a memo was posted on the hospital board: "Nurse Linda is under investigation for professional misconduct. Pending further review, she is suspended from duty." Whispers filled the hospital corridors. Some nurses pitied her, but most were too afraid to speak out. Nurse Emeka smirked as she passed by Linda. "You should have just given in," she whispered. "Now look where you are." Linda refused to be discouraged. She knew she had done nothing wrong, and she would not let lies destroy her. She decided to fight back. Nurse Linda's heart pounded as the firm grip tightened around her arm. She struggled to break free, but the dark figure pulled her into the shadows of a deserted alleyway. "You should have stayed quiet," the voice growled. It was one of the hospital security guards, a man loyal to Dr. Emeka. Fear gripped Linda, but she refused to panic. "God is with me," she whispered under her breath. "You cannot harm me." The guard hesitated for a moment, then sneered. "We'll see about that." Just as he raised his hand, a voice shouted from the end of the street. "Hey! What's going on there?" It was an elderly shopkeeper, one of Linda's neighbors, who often sat outside his store late into the night. The guard cursed under his breath and let go of Linda's arm before disappearing into the darkness. Shaking, Linda ran to the shopkeeper, who looked at her with concern. "Child, are you all right?" "Who was that?" "Someone who doesn't want me to speak the truth," she replied, still breathless. The next morning, Linda knew she had to act fast. The newspaper article had put Dr. Emeka on edge, and he was getting desperate. She went straight to the journalist's office. "We need more evidence," the journalist said. "We need testimonies from other nurses. If they can come forward, we can build a stronger case." Linda sighed. "That's the hardest part. They are all afraid." "Then we have to make them feel safe," the journalist replied. "Let's arrange a secret meeting." That evening, Linda reached out to the few nurses she trusted. Some were hesitant, but a few agreed to meet in a safe location, a small church hall where no one would suspect anything. The meeting was tense. Some of the nurses trembled as they spoke, recalling their experiences with Dr. Emeka. "I wanted to quit, but I have no other job," one nurse admitted. "If I speak out, I will lose everything." "We all will," another said. "But Linda is risking more than any of us. She stood against him alone. If we don't help, how can we call ourselves victims?" Finally, one by one, the nurses agreed to record their testimonies. The journalists gathered their statements, promising that their identities would be protected. "This is enough to take to the authorities," she said. The next morning, Linda and the journalist walked into the police station. The officers listened carefully, flipping through the files. "These are serious allegations," the chief inspector said. "We need to investigate immediately." That very day, the police arrived at Divine Healing Medical Center. Dr. Emeka was in his office when they entered. "Dr. Emeka, you are under investigation for misconduct and abuse of power. You will need to come with us." For the first time, Dr. Emeka looked truly shaken. He tried to protest, but the officers had already gathered enough reports. As he was led away, the nurses watched in silence. Some were too afraid to react, but others felt the weight of his tyranny finally lifting. Nurse Linda stood at the entrance of the hospital, watching as justice took its course. She knew the battle wasn't over, but for the first time, hope filled the air. The arrest of Dr. Emeka sent shockwaves throughout the entire medical community. The once powerful chief physician, who had terrorized young nurses for years, now sat in a courtroom, facing the full force of the law. The testimonies of the brave nurses, combined with Nurse Linda's unwavering resolve, had built an airtight case against him. As the judge read the verdict, the courtroom held its breath. "Dr. Emeka, you are found guilty of gross misconduct, abuse of power, and sexual exploitation. You are hereby sentenced to 25 years in prison with no possibility of parole." A murmur spread through the courtroom. Some gasped in shock, while others sighed in relief. Dr. Emeka's face turned pale. The same arrogance that once controlled the lives of many had crumbled into nothing. As the guards led him away, he glanced at Nurse Linda one last time, his eyes filled with regret and fear. But Linda did not look at him with hatred, only with the knowledge that justice had been served. A new beginning. With Dr. Emeka gone, Divine Healing Medical Center underwent a transformation. The hospital administration, shaken by the revelations, implemented strict policies to protect staff from abuse. More women were given leadership roles, and an ethical review board was formed to ensure that such atrocities would never happen again. As for Nurse Linda, she became a symbol of hope and resilience. The journalist who had helped expose the truth wrote a nationwide feature on her courage. "A woman of integrity," the article called her. Offers from prestigious hospitals poured in, but Linda had a different vision. She wanted to build something greater. With the support of the community and donations from well-wishers, she opened her own hospital, Faith and Hope Medical Center. A place where patients were treated with dignity, where nurses worked in an environment of respect, and where no one had to compromise their values for success. Her story spread far and wide, inspiring young women across the country. Linda was invited to speak at conferences, churches, and universities. She stood before thousands, sharing her testimony. Serving God and standing for the truth is never easy. There will be trials, there will be pain, but in the end, righteousness prevails. Never let fear silence your voice. Integrity is not just about what we do when people are watching, it's about what we stand for when no one is. The audience often rose to their feet, clapping, tears in their eyes. Linda had not only survived, she had flourished. The consequences of a bad life. Meanwhile, Dr. Emeka, once a powerful figure, now lived in disgrace. Prison was a harsh reality for him. The same manipulative tactics he had used in the hospital no longer worked in a place where only raw survival mattered. His wealth and connections could not save him now. He was just another inmate, forgotten by society. He spent his days reflecting on the choices he had made, realizing too late that a life built on deceit and exploitation would always crumble. But regret did not erase his sins, he had to face the consequences. Nurse Emeka, who had once mocked Linda and helped Dr. Emeka cover up his misdeeds, also faced a harsh downfall. With the scandal exposing her lies, she lost her job and struggled to find work again. No one wanted to hire someone who had played a role in the abuse of her colleagues. She came to Linda, weeping, begging for forgiveness. "I was wrong," she admitted. "I should have stood with you. Please, help me start over." Linda, ever merciful, forgave her but made it clear that change must come from within. This is your chance to become a better person. Use it wisely. A life of purpose. Years later, Nurse Linda, now Dr. Linda, walked through the halls of her hospital, smiling as she greeted her staff. She was no longer the young nurse fighting alone. She was now a leader, a mentor, a beacon of light. Her story had proven that serving God and standing for righteousness was never in vain. The path of integrity was difficult, but it led to true greatness. As she looked up at the hospital sign, Faith and Hope Medical Center, she whispered a prayer of gratitude. "Thank you, Lord, for guiding me. For proving that faith, integrity, and courage will always lead to victory." And with that, she stepped forward, ready to continue her mission of healing and hope.